Some people will not buy a Tesla because they do not have home EV charging. So today I have my friend Alvin, who is the owner of a Tesla Model 3 Performance, who's owned it for the past 8 months in Singapore, to learn about what's it like owning a Tesla without home EV charging. Alvin, tell us about your home condition.
Yeah, so I do not have a dedicated wall charger, and one of the questions that I get a lot is like, then how do you charge? So I think that's one of the misconceptions with owning an EV, that you need to stay in a landed house, you have a wall charger, and then you charge overnight, every night, and then in the morning you have like a car with a full tank, right?
Yeah.
And then you can drive out. But that's not actually true. There's a bit of like lifestyle change. And that's also one of the reasons why we are here, to explore, and then we can demo in the later part of the video how it's like owning an EV without a dedicated charger.
So in this video, we'll talk about Alvin's experiences, and we're going to show you what's it like using public EV chargers, not just Tesla ones. I'll be behind the camera as Alvin shows us how to use Shell Recharge for his Tesla. Let's dive right in.
Let's go. So if you don't have like a dedicated wall charger, this will be your wall charger. So just lift it, unlock the charge port, put it in. So if you don't charge at a supercharger, if you're a Tesla, then you need to authenticate yourself because you need to pay for the charge. So one of the ways to do it is actually to use the screen here. It says authenticate with a card. Right, and then it says you're allowed to start charging. If you look at the charge port, it starts to turn blue. And then green, it means that it's starting to charge. So it's receiving charge now. Right, so this is actually one of my weekly routine. Well, I'll just park the car at the Shell recharge station before I head to the gym. And yeah, one of the things that people don't realize is also that you can actually charge your car, park your car here, and then head off somewhere else. In my case, the gym, you can go eat, you can go watch a movie, whatever, right? And then when you're done, you can come back and collect your car, but obviously don't hog the charging lot because people need the charge. So usually I'll go for my gym for an hour, and then I'll come back and pick up my car. So I'm gonna head out to the gym now. I'll catch you in a bit, Daren. I'm done with my gym, so we're gonna pick up my car. So a bit of background of the charging. What we're doing is called the AC charging, which is commonly referred to as the slow charging. It does about 11 kilowatt hour, which translates to about 7 to 8% an hour, which is considered slow. But if you want a quick charge, a very fast charge, we'll go to the Supercharger next. We can check it out and have our dinner there. So the Supercharger does about 300 kilometers in just 15 minutes. So I don't know how much charge we have, but let's check it out and then we'll head over to the Supercharger. Let's go. Unlock the car, stop charging. So it's stopped now, and I'm gonna unlock the car port. Plug it back, and then off we go.
Now that we're heading to a supercharger, how do we know that there's actually lots in that supercharger? Can you show us what it looks like?
Yeah, sure. There's actually a charging panel on the car. So you can tap on charging in your Tesla, right? And then you look down here, if you click on this triple lightning bolt design, you actually see all the supercharger here, right? So you have one in Orchard Central, the other one in Millennium Walk, and Star Vista and Katong V. So these are the 4 locations that we have supercharger now. And then if you look at this like red pin down here, it actually shows you how many available lots are there. So you can like actually tap on it, and it shows you a bit of information. Right? So there's 3 stalls that does 250 kilowatt of charge, and then there's 2 lots available now.
So it looks like Orchard Central has the most, but it's the nearest one, 1.2 kilometers. And looks like the next 2 alternative one is Millennium Walk at 2.8 kilometers. Because the other 2 are quite far and there's no number that means full.
I mean, you can tap on it and then it'll tell you. So there's a bit of weight, medium weight. So I think how it tells is actually based on the charge that's left on the car that's charging, right? How long it's gonna take. Let's see the Katong one. The Katong one is a short wait. So I think most of the car is almost done, right? Obviously there's a bit of lag in the data, but I find it to be fairly accurate. So I actually use this to actually help me to find some of the charging point, because if you look at the screen, if you tap on this two bolt, it's like not a supercharger, but it includes some other charging point, like the Shell recharge station that we are in here. And then where is it? It doesn't tell you how many lot there is, right? For non-Tesla supercharger, but it tells you where is it and how much charge it can deliver. So yeah, here you go. And then what you require. So you actually require the app or the card to actually authenticate yourself.
So this is the Shell recharge lot that we are at. Pretty useful. It doesn't just show Tesla superchargers, but other public EV chargers also. So with that, we've got a short wait in Katong V.
Yeah.
Shall we head there?
Yeah, let's head there, charge, have dinner.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go.
What gave you the conviction to buy your Model 3 8 months ago when you didn't have home EV charging?
Well, if you look at the map of the charging network, it's actually quite robust already, right? Even last year, and way before Tesla, there are already EV on the road, right? So especially for Singapore, such a small country, right? The network is actually, I think, sufficient, right? To a point that you won't feel any range anxiety, right? Range anxiety is when you are driving and then you're on a low charge and you don't know where to go for a charge, or the next charger is like 2 hours away, right? And you don't know whether you'll get there. So you don't tend to get that in Singapore, or very unlikely if you plan your trip well.
Doing this for 8 months without home EV charging, what's the biggest myth that we should debunk?
I think it's really that you have to stay at landed. I think there's a few, right? The number one being that you have to stay at a landed property, have a dedicated charger before you can own an EV. That's not true, right? As we have shown earlier, there's a lot of charger like that Shell recharge station that we can go to and then get a charge while we are doing something. So there's a bit of lifestyle change to actually think of like what you're gonna do and then when you're gonna get a charge. But I think that's like the trend that most people, I think, would prefer over time. So the second myth is actually that when you visit a charging station, you need to charge all the way up until 100%, which is not true. And more often than not, you won't have the time to actually sit there or do something and wait for a full charge. And so what you do is actually you charge enough, right? You charge everywhere. Wherever you go, there's charger, you plug in, and then you do whatever you like, right? And then at the end of the day, you don't really think so much about, oh, when do I need to get charged? Because wherever there's charging point, you just plug it in, and you just charge enough to get to the next destination, right, where there's a charge. So you don't really need to charge until 100%. Like in our case, we charge until like 70%, and then I'll probably it's very good for me to drive for another like 1 or 2 days before I get to another charging station.
Just now, when we were in the slow charger, the AC charger, the charger is about 30 kilometers per hour. Now we're heading to the Tesla Supercharger in Katong V. That charges about 300 kilometers in 15 minutes, more than 10 times faster. Some people wonder, if I use the supercharger too much, would it degrade my batteries much faster? What do you think?
So I think one of the part of like the fun of driving EVs, you can get a charge almost anywhere in Singapore. So while DC charging would degrade your battery faster than AC, obviously, just like your phone, right? But it's not to a point where it's so damaging or so critical that you cannot enjoy a good mileage, right, over time. So the car actually has a very intelligent sort of battery management system to control the charge so that it doesn't spoil the battery and it kind of even out the charge, right? So I'll say that it's not a huge concern.
Now that you own the Tesla and been charging it for 8 months, how much has the battery degraded over time? What's the performance now?
Yeah, I mean, like if you just pure look at the metric on the car itself, about 70%, I have a 3 to 8 kilometer, right? So that would translate to about 470 kilometer at 100%, right? So when I picked up my car, 100% is about like 500 kilometer. So effectively, I've lost about 6%, right? About 30 kilometer over the course of like 8 months, right? So that's battery degradation, and also the battery does a bit of magic to kind of understand how much charge it can hold over time. So I think during the first year, you see a bit more degradation, right? And then slowly it will even out across the year. So it's not a linear thing.
The battery is really important on an EV like Tesla. So how long can it last?
The lifespan of the battery, I think it can last for a very, very long time, right? And just as a indicator, I think Tesla should be quite confident with the battery, right? The battery warranty is about 8 years, right?
Alvin, we reached already, but looks like the lots are full.
Oh no. And that's one of the challenge driving an EV, right? It's not sunny day every day, right? You don't always get a lot. So if you really need a lot, then I guess you just need to wait it out. But for me, because I charge everywhere I go, I don't really need a charge, right? So I'm happy to go elsewhere, have my dinner and whatnot. So unless you are really in need of a charge, yeah, you have to wait for a charger. And I think for a supercharger, it's quite fast, right? Within half an hour, someone will go. But then there's sometimes a queue as well.
So in this situation, right, there's 3 Teslas charging over there. We're waiting here. What if another Tesla comes right here? Like, who decides who go first? How do you know? Is that like an honor system? What happens?
There's no honor system. It's based on like, okay, I'm here first and then you're behind me. I will charge first, and then you kind of vouch for me that I'm here first and things like that. So I think generally Tesla owners are very nice, those that I've met. Look at that.
2 are going out already.
Yeah.
Chiong ah!
Let's go. Right. Here you go.
We've made it.
We made it. It's a bit of drizzle.
Oh, apparently this is one of the more popular superchargers. How come, yeah?
I don't know, I think there's just so many amenities around here, right? And it's a very easy reach, right? Just drive in the car park and then the charger is there. Unlike the Orchard Central one, you have to spin your way up level 9. Yeah. Okay, we're here. Let's go for a charge. Bit of drizzle today. Head on to the Supercharger. So it's a bit of drizzle, but I think it's fine. So long as you're covered, plug it in, and you don't expose the pin, you should do a good job at waterproofing. So the good thing is that Tesla is also superchargers. You can just click this button and it opens and just plug it in, right? And then it does the handshake, the blue one, right? Establishing a connection for the charge, and then once green is charging, there you go. And then you can just walk away, and then your car locks, and no one can pull this out.
So, like right now it's drizzling. Well, actually, it's more than drizzle, it's raining here. It's okay to still supercharge.
Yeah, look at that. It's okay, you can walk away. It's still gonna be like that throughout, but it's okay to do a charge under the rain. I mean, if it's heavy rain, then don't plug it in when it's heavy, and when you can get exposed to the rain.
Yeah.
But should be fine for such drizzle. Just plug it in, maybe with an umbrella, and then just head off.
So, these are probably water resistant in some sense. There are a lot of public outdoor superchargers around the world, and people still charge under the rain as well. Probably, definitely not under like a tornado or tsunami or whatnot, but like this, I think it's fine. How do we track our charging from the Tesla app?
Yeah, so just launch the Tesla app. Then if you're charging, you can actually see the state the Tesla is in, right? So at 82% state of charge and 20 more minutes to get done, right? So and then you can even see the other of the charging metric here. And then if you want, you can even stop charging, right? And then you stop charging already. Yeah. So I can just pull it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Alvin, can you talk us through the weekly charging habits? How do you do it? What's your weekly routine?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a bit of lifestyle change in terms when you come from, especially an ICE car. For me, I just do whatever I want, right? The charging should not be the priority. If I want to go and eat, like my dinner or watch a movie, go to gym, find a friend, that should be my priority, right? And you should plan your trip around it, but that shouldn't be like, okay, I need to charge, therefore I meet my friend at say Millennial Walk so I can supercharge, right? And you really defeat the purpose of like owning an EV, right? For me, it's just about, again, planning your time, right? Just plan what you need to do, and around it, try and put in a bit of like charging stops if you cannot do charging at the destination, right? So for example, if let's say I'm at my gym earlier and there's no charger, right? And then I'll probably come here and have dinner with you, and then we'll do the charge here. So a bit of planning. I would say that entirely there's no planning, and everywhere there's charger. Especially for people who don't stay at a landed, right? You don't get dedicated charging. So there's a bit of work there, but I think that's the fun of it. And sometimes you kind of explore areas where there's charger, and you just go there and then you can find, hey, there's actually something new that I didn't realize.
So every week, how many times you charge your Tesla?
How many times I charge my
On average, 2 times, 3 times?
I think 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, it's about right. But I think at sometimes I even plug in like 3 or 4 times a day, right?
Wow.
At different locations, right? When I meet a friend and go dinner, right? And before going home, maybe I'll go for a quick charge, right? Yeah, things like that. And sometimes when you're charging, you can also do a bit of work, right? Reply some email. It's not entirely wasting and just sit down there or watch Daren's video.
That's one of the nice things about owning a Tesla or any EV. You can actually leave your, or not engine, you can leave your car on because there's no emissions.
Yeah, no emission, no sound, very quiet. Yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying for the past 8 months, right? Very nice fun.
In the past 8 months, right, all these superchargers behind us, they are free. Free supercharging when Tesla launched in Singapore. Now, after 8 months, they are going to bring back introduce the kilowatt hour charging and also idle rates. How will this impact your behaviors as an EV owner and your EV charging?
Not at all. I mean, look at the price of petrol, right? Paying way lesser than a petrol, right? So I just go enjoy and just drive a car. And even if Tesla starts charging, it's going to be one of the more competitive rate around. So right now with the public charging network, we're looking at about like 40 to 50 cents per kilowatt hour, right? So I think for my car, if you do a full charge, it's about $40, but no one does like a 0 to 100. So at most I would pay for about $20 from like a 20 to 80% charge.
Okay.
Right. So I think it's quite reasonable, right? And again, the whole thing about owning an EV is really not to worry so much about where I charge, what's the price, and just enjoy. Right, drive there, plug it in. Right.
Your whole time owning the Tesla for the past 8 months, like how often do you use a supercharger versus other EV chargers? Like 50-50?
Yeah, I think it's 50-50. I charge quite a lot at SP charging network as well. Probably about 600 kilowatt hours so far. And the reason why I use SP charging networks a lot is because they're everywhere, right? And I have their app on my phone, which is a more convenient solution for me. And obviously, coming up, there will be Shell Recharge and also Charge Plus, which I'm also looking at because they kind of extend the reach of like where the charging network is and potentially where I can also charge wherever I go. So it's quite exciting, and being one of a few EV owner, like Tesla owner in Singapore, we kind of experience the growth, right? And when we collected the car, there's only one supercharger station at Orchard Central. Now there's 4 and 1 more coming, I heard. So,
We'll see.
I mean, fun stuff. And definitely the network is growing. So wherever you stay, wherever you go, hopefully there will be a charging station for EVs, right? Not only just for Tesla.
For the Tesla superchargers behind us, they will start paid charging by 5th of April. So about 1 week plus from this video, 1 to 2 weeks plus. One last message, Alvin, one last tip. What's your advice for future Tesla owners in Singapore who do not have home EV charging?
Just buy and enjoy the car, because there is really no reason why you cannot find a charge, right? And honestly, there's a lot of charging stations in Singapore already. So I wouldn't see that as sort of a challenge. If you compare that to like what, just maybe 2 to 3 years ago, it's a lot better nowadays. So or maybe just go out with hang out with a friend who has an EV, right? And get their experiences.
Thank you, Alvin, for sharing your experience on owning a Tesla Model 3 without home EV charging. I understand it is still quite hard to imagine for many of us here, but I hope this inspires you a little bit. You do a little bit more research before making up your mind. When I get my Model Y next time, I also will not have home EV charging because like many of you, I stay in public housing, HDB as well. If you found this video useful, please click the like button. Hit subscribe, stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Signing off. Bye bye everyone.